Absent with cause.
Mr. Chairman, you have 6 members present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. No additional information for us, other than Asante is now off the schedule.
Correct.
So if anyone's here for Asante, that has been taken off the schedule, off the agenda. So, okay. Okay, so for meeting minutes, we have the February and March meeting minutes. Looking for a motion to
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, the March and April.
March and April. If I may get a motion to accept and place on file.
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, public hearings. We have quite a few. We have 6 tonight, beginning with Rotella, which was continued from the April meeting, the March meeting. Looking for Plat S, Lot 51, 29 Birdside Avenue, for relief on the code of ordinances described herein. Mr. Bucci, not representing.
Yes.
Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, members of the board. My name is Anthony J. Bucci Jr. on behalf of the Rotellers. At the last hearing, it was continued for basically 2 reasons. One was that the site plan needed to be updated to depict the front parking spots. That has been done. I believe the town has approved it today. And the second issue was a drainage issue. And since that time, with a lot of discussions with the town, I believe we also can confirm that you have in the record an approved stormwater drainage plan. Last meeting, there was a suggestion from the board that we bring in our engineer. He's here today, but given the fact that the town acknowledges that it has the approved plan, which they weren't able to do at the last meeting, I don't know if you want us to put him on or not. I know you have a crowded agenda, so may or may not, and we're happy to do it either way.
We do. I think we probably should get some testimony on the record from the engineer if we could.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last.
Joseph Milo, M-A-L-O.
Thank you.
Can you briefly describe your background and experience?
My Bachelor of Science degree at University of Tennessee. I've been practicing, I've been a licensed engineer in the state of Rhode Island, Mass and Connecticut for the last 13 years, and I've been doing engineering.
Is this a copy of your curriculum duty?
Yes, it is.
I would ask that this be entered into evidence as an exhibit. And did you prepare the stormwater and drainage plan?
I did.
Mr. Bucci, did you want to be recognized as an expert witness in
Yes.
something?
Yes.
In what?
We'll pull it up. It didn't say. Yeah, we have that. I'm sorry. It didn't say on the PowerPoint.
So, can you see this if I held it up?
Probably not.
He's going to try to pull it up.
Thank you.
Okay, so what I'm showing you, is that the approved
Yep.
drainage plan?
So the plan that I submitted, that's the most recent drainage plan. So essentially, the drainage concept design is to mitigate all the new proposed areas for the project to ensure that we are not creating any additional runoff, peak volume, or peak flows off the property. So I know you guys can't see it on this plan, but essentially we're going to have the downspouts will be collected and then discharged to a drainage swale, and then the swale is kind of in a shape like this. It's designed with a weir at the down gradient side, about 6 inches high, so it's going to, kind of pond that stormwater area, treat it, and then, like I said, mitigate the peak flows, and it will slowly release into the ground and then downstream to the low point where it currently drains today. So currently everything in the property kind of slopes down towards this low area here. So we're maintaining the drainage pattern, we're just ensuring that we're not increasing that runoff.
Are you familiar with section 7.7 of the Narragansett zoning ordinance?
Yes, and all the proposed drainage fully conforms with section 7.7 with the town, and then also with the RIDEM standards for the drainage swale.
And I think we talked and you mentioned that this is designed for 100-year storm.
Yep, so I know the town standards are up to 25, but we just remodeled the 100-year, so it's in the stormwater report, the water quality, the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storm all have a reduction in the peak flow and volumes.
And now, although the property owner is not responsible for the natural flow of runoff, will this help the natural flow when it's not at the peak, when it's not a 100-year storm?
I believe it will, just because we have that weir wall, so that weir wall has been designed for the larger storms. Again, the weir wall is like down in the I think northeast corner, if I remember directions correctly. So in the smaller storms, that's actually going to collect a lot of the runoff instead of sending it down towards the end portion of the property. So it's going to retain some of the runoff here. The larger storms will retain it and then it will spill over. But the smaller storms, a lot of that runoff will be captured in this area until it slowly infiltrates into the ground.
So, and this is to capture any runoff any increased runoff as a result of this project?
Yes.
I don't have anything further, so if the board has any questions.
Board?
Is that shed remaining there or being moved?
Yeah, so this plan is not showing, but this
Right.
shed is being relocated down to this portion so we can get the swale in that area.
And that shed is going to be upland of the standing water, correct?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. Very good.
Oh,
And
That's
sure,
yours.
sure, it'll
That's
work.
the swale.
That's
Yeah.
all.
It's the swale there.
And Mr. Bucci, we talked about the engineering department. You had an approved plan through the engineering department.
Yes.
Dave, can you talk a little bit about the re-review that they had done? You're aware of that?
I'm sorry?
The re-review that the engineering department had done of the submitted plan?
I thought from speaking with the building inspector, well, emails going back and forth, I thought everything was satisfactory to the town.
That's what I'm trying to get on the record.
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit more about it, so we can get this on the record.
Yes, so when I was speaking with the town today, after we submitted the site plan and with other discussions about sending the documents, the stormwater drainage plan, the map, and the report, my understanding that the town has approved all of that and has acknowledged that they approved it. And I think there was a letter dated October 16th, 2024, where the drainage plan was approved by the town.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Any further questions for Mr. Miller? Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you further, Mr. Bucci.
So also at the last meeting, I think a few of the board members wanted to hear from the property owner
Yes, sir.
who was not able to attend the last meeting. So I'll call Ken Rotella, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state and spell your last name for me.
Kenneth M. Rotella, R-O-T-E-L-L-A.
Thank you.
Are you a property owner of the subject property at 29 Burnside Avenue?
Yes.
And do you own the property with others?
Yes, my wife and my brother. Joan Rotella and Angelo S. Rotella.
And can you tell the board why you want to renovate the home?
We want to renovate the home for family use, and we're moving there, spending some time there during the summers and also the winters, and it's for family use only, where we don't have any intention of renting the property. It's for our use only, family use.
Got it.
And I think that was one of the concerns that the board had. Now, if you have any other questions for them, we're happy to address them.
Good. Reviewing notes, hang on. That's it? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm going to do that next. Yes.
So unless the board has other questions, I think,
So there is a couple other things that did come up in the last hearing. Height was one of the questions about the cathedral ceiling. Is that required do we need that cathedral ceiling? Or can we or change the pitch of the roof or somehow reduce that
Well-
request?
so you were involved,
Yes.
Excuse me.
so you were involved in the design of this house?
Yeah, well, we consulted with the architect, and one of the reasons, there's a couple of reasons we wanted to do a cathedral ceiling. For airflow, for energy efficiency, the cooler air will circulate better. And the main reason is my brother is claustrophobic. He owns a couple of different properties, and all his ceilings are at least 12 feet high. And that would be, he wouldn't be able to stay in the home. It really helps the height of the ceiling is necessary under the circumstances.
Questions? No. Any questions from the board on the height requirement? Thank you, Mr. Marcello.
Okay.
Ms. Bucci, there's also some discussion about parking, hardscape and softscape and so forth.
Yes, and we went through that with the building inspector today as well. That's not the, oh yeah, so. Over here is the new parking. So what we did was we removed the parking from here, which created that softscape. And if you were to zoom out of this plan, you can see the calculation from the surveyor that shows that we're a little bit above 50%, and we're only required to be 50%, so that we meet the softscape requirement as well.
And the parking requirements. You mean
Well,
both?
yes, because
Okay,
there are
gotcha.
3 spaces here
Yep.
and 1 space here, and you have a total of 800 square feet between the areas.
Yeah, I did review it today, and they did comply with the parking and the softscape that we had a question about
Okay,
previously.
thank you. Okay, and the remaining question, the remaining objection had to do with the standing water. That's currently there.
Well, the standing water issue, I would say, is irrelevant for the purposes of granting or denying this relief. Because, as you know, section 7.7 of the zoning ordinance only requires that we mitigate an increased flow from the project. And what you heard the engineer state was that not only will it take care of that issue to a 100-year storm, which you almost never get, but when there's not a 100-year storm, you can never guarantee there's not going to be any runoff. But in a lesser storm, this would actually help the problem of runoff from this property. But I can't tell you that it's going to mitigate it forever, but that's not the standard. We're not responsible for it, and to me, the objection was irrelevant anyway, because they were talking about a natural condition that was there, and I get that it might be a problem for them, but it's not an issue for this board, I don't think.
Understood. Ryan, can you talk a little bit about the re-review from the engineer? Talk a little bit about the re-review from engineering.
Sure, yeah. After the application was continued, I brought it to the stormwater engineer's attention at the town hall, and I had him take a quick look at the application again and the letter that he submitted that was dated October 16, 2024, and he confirmed that the project still meets the minimum standards set in section 7.7.
Thank you. Thank you. Council, I think it's best, Nick, I think it's best that we rehear the opponents and proponents.
Absolutely.
Because we're
It's
hearing
a
them.
public hearing, absolutely.
Yeah. So, are you sure, Nick?
What is the ceiling height on the first floor?
I'm sorry?
What are the ceiling heights on the first floor?
8 feet.
So 8 feet on the first, and what is the ceiling height gonna be on the second, that requires it to be cathedral?
I mean, I think the ceiling height at the exterior wall is only about 6 feet or so, I think, if I recall correctly. From the architect, then they obviously pitch up to the cathedral.
So it's more like a knee wall than a full, I mean, 6 foot's not a full wall, right?
Well,
So is it to be a knee wall and then?
6 or 8, I mean, I
pitch
could be
begins from
wrong, I
there?
don't.
That's true.
6'11" at the exterior to the tray and 14 at the peak.
14 feet. I'm just thinking to drop the knee wall, more than a knee wall. You really can't do that to get it down to, you can't get it down 4.6 feet for sure.
No, and,
Not something
and,
that's reasonable.
you know, that's really very minor relief and falls within the 15% modification.
Mhm.
You know, but for objectors, whose objections seem largely to do with the drainage issue, I mean, although they did mention the height as well. It seems to me, since it's de minimis, that it shouldn't be a problem.
That's what you get. Okay,
For now, thanks.
thank you.
So, did you mention you're going to call for objectors again?
I am.
I think at the last meeting, it was mentioned that they would not get an opportunity to speak again.
I don't think that was the case.
I'd also say, Mr. Chair, we have new information that's been presented tonight.
Exactly.
We have an open public hearing. I think the public should have an opportunity to speak.
Okay. I agree with counsel. Sorry.
Can't disagree with council.
I can't disagree. It's my counsel.
He absolutely can disagree with you.
Not public.
All right, for purposes of the hearing and the new evidence presented, I'd like to call for proponents, those who would like to speak in favor of the project first. Seeing none, I'll call for objectors, opponents. Yes, sir. Opponent?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Please state your name and spell your last.
My name is Evan Pagano, Pagano.
Thank you.
So I am the neighbor to the north. On this plan, it's S52. I can point right here. And I'm not an engineer. Just for some street credit, I am a GLP scientist. I work at a pharma company. I hold master's degrees. I went in this yard today. There's 13 inches of water right there, and so I know they're going to be putting a 6-inch swale. Hope it works. But what I want to talk about right now is, since day one with the planning board, I wrote a letter. My main concern has always been water, and after watching the planning board meeting, I don't think they read my letter because it didn't come to light, but either way, it did come out at the last zoning board meeting. I'd like to acknowledge that in the summary page that was prepared today, page 3, I'd like to get on record that the addition of no additional fill be brought on site be added to the record, because that's going to substantially affect this standing water and overall displacement of water, regardless of the swale. So I would like that acknowledged, that the report does state that no additional fill be brought on site. That's my main concern. I also I didn't have a chance to review the reports that were approved today. I called yesterday, that they hadn't been approved, so I don't think I wasn't privy to them at the time. But I don't know if any of the parking changes affect any of the softscape, therefore affecting just drainage at this property. Again, my main concern, it just goes back to drainage. I didn't have a chance to look at it, but that lot is underwater right now, and it affects the people around them as well. A bigger house is more drainage, more runoff. They can build their house. I hope to one day do something similar. You have the right to do improvements and make your house what you want it to be, but you also have the responsibility of those to protect the rights of others around you and keeping the neighboring lots safe as well. So again, it goes back to water and yeah, no additional fill on site, and I'd like to take a look at the revised parking plan and softscape. So that's my main concern.
Okay. Thank you. This site plan, this is the site plan that shows us where the parking is currently, correct? This
Yes.
is the latest one?
Yes. That's
So
the current plan.
that's what was submitted and approved.
Okay.
I believe the building office had taken a look at this as well. We talked about it earlier.
Yes.
And they meet the hardscape and softscape requirements.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you show me where the sidewalk is? Is it right here, or is it this section right there?
Yes.
Okay. Are you gonna be blocking the sidewalk?
Questions this way, please.
I'm sorry. So, as the house stands now, notoriously there's cars parked on the sidewalk, blocking the sidewalk, so when you walk to the beach, you gotta go in the street. I'll walk right around the cars, but I just know that that's just on my mind as far as if the sidewalk is now incorporated as parking, because that's what is.
The answer's going to be no.
Okay, I hope so too.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm getting testimony that's not. Go ahead. Ms. Bucci.
It's not on the sidewalk.
It's not on the side?
No.
Okay.
You can see this where the sidewalk is and where the red line begins. It's not the sidewalk.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
Please state your name and spell your last.
sure. Daniel Lamondola, Lamdola.
Thank you.
I'm going to
Okay,
object to
can I,
him testifying.
Hang
Hang on a second. I'm going to object to him testifying. He's not a property owner.
It's still a public comment.
Yeah, it's still
Not a
public comment,
requirement
yeah.
that you be in a bar.
So I'm going to allow it.
For the record, Evan is my domestic partner, so he owns that. I have an ownership interest, interested party. again, it is also a public hearing. Just so everybody's also aware. I'll get to that in a second. So just a couple of comments to start. So it's helpful to see the plan here and have it finally submitted. I understand it was submitted today. So again, it makes it a little difficult to come to a meeting like today at 6:30 prepared, having no sense of what may have changed, what didn't change, what could have changed. It's good to see that there is some reconfiguration here. Again, as Evan noted, some of those concerns of adding a whole lot more asphalt up in this area, I'd be interested to see how that lines up with the drainage weir. And so that's what I'm saying, there's just some questions and considerations.
Objection only because he's misstating the record. That is not asphalt. In fact, there's a thing that says asphalt parking could be removed.
First, again, can you clarify with council, can you clarify with council if I can be interrupted or not?
Actually, I prefer it doesn't get interrupted. You can have your rebuttal at the end.
Well, I mean, I didn't want you to listen to inaccurate information
I
either,
understand.
so I apologize.
And I appreciate it.
So am I going to be interrupted or not?
No.
There you go.
Happens again. So it's helpful though because it actually clarifies a few things. So asphalt parking is going to be removed, so I guess it's going to be permeable. I'm just saying there's a lot of considerations in some of these designs that would be helpful to have a little bit of notice to review before we have to come up here and make a comment. So we're talking about ceiling heights and all the rest, some of which looks like it wasn't even considered, right? We're saying, I think it's, the least relief possible, right? We're saying, okay, claustrophobia, these other things, airflow, more volume makes it more efficient to cool. Just some of these things makes it difficult when, literally we walk in the door here and it's the first time we're kind of seeing what these changes are. So I'd just say from a process perspective, a little bit challenging.
I appreciate your input.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, like I said, I would just question kind of the overlay of the drainage weir and the impact relative to the end of that driveway. That'd be something we'd want to just kind of look at and understand, just to evaluate. I know engineers have certified it, but this is the same engineer saying, more roof, and we're going to, as Evan said, support 6 inches of water when today I don't think this is a 100-year storm. We've got 18 inches of water back there, so just some things there. There was a comment in some of the reports, I think Mr. Coyle and JDL. I asked that you kind of review the feedback when we talk about how this fits into the character of the neighborhood and all of that, the density of all of it. And my initial contention, and which I have done some subsequent looking at, is, I would contend that the parcels that were selected in that analysis were kind of cherry-picked. The smaller houses nearby weren't selected. So to say that, okay, we're only a couple % off on floor area ratios and all the rest to make it look like, it just seemed to be a very selective analysis. And again, coming from an expert, somebody that you're hoping to rely on as a town, as a butters and the rest, I just hope you take that into your consideration. And I just use one example of that on page 9. It says, the shape of the lot is rectangular, 54 feet wide and 122 feet deep. Thus, dimensional configuration causes hardship for the owner. And the quote continues, the unique shape of this parcel makes it difficult to comply, and it goes on. We're talking about a rectangular lot. Saying because it's a rectangular lot, you need dimensional relief. So, just some of the comments and the reliance on this report with some of those assertions, cherry-picking data, kind of characterizing a rectangular lot as challenging for dimensional relief. And again, it really just goes back to kind of the care and the plan here. As Evan said, yeah, we hope to build someday. We'd like to see improvements to the neighborhood. It looks terrible the last couple of years. It's not looked well. So any improvement that can happen, I'm getting there, sorry. Any improvement that can happen, that's definitely in favor of. But it also has concerns about maintenance. So if we look in the engineering report, I think it talks about requirements for like what you have to do within the first 6 months, how it has to be maintained year on year. And our concern is we've seen a track record of, just a house going into disrepair. And so it's kind of, what happens if that doesn't happen, right? What's the recourse? So as much as you're here to make a decision based on what we're going to do today and what testimony here is today, there's also that consideration of what does happen in the future. and kind of track record. So,
So if there is, I'll address that now, if there's any concerns or conditions that have not been met or not been lived up to,
mhm.
contact the building inspector and he will make an investigation.
Yeah, and we're not trying to
No,
be
understand.
tough on that, and one of the examples I think was again also in the JDL report, it used the justification of the house next door, which is like the 7-story building, and said, oh, it's smaller than the 7-bedroom
Okay,
next
well,
door. Right,
We're beyond.
so my point though is, that report again, it's using like bad data and bad decisions to justify further ones. And again, they have a drainage system that caused leaks, so just that's a concern that neighbors have, so provided, as Evan mentioned, we don't see that there's more fill put in and all of that, it's just to get on record. Water's an issue here, and we just want to make sure everybody's clear that that's where it's going to be.
Got it.
So I think that's kind of the overall, again, not having a chance to really review this, to see an overlay of the new drawing relative to the drainage weir and the engineering report, changes in materials. I'm glad to see that the softscape's going to be increased. So yeah, hopeful that we can get some improvements. Again, I'd stick with my contention. I'm not sure that a cathedral ceiling is a hardship. There's zoning regulations, there's zoning rules. Ideally, we kind of stick to them, the contention that but for the abutters complaints and but for maybe the 15%, but the 15% isn't a guarantee. The purpose of the 15% is provided nobody objects, yeah, move it through, make things efficient. It's not to say just past 15%, you can move on. At that rate, you just change it to 15% and forget that. So again, just some of those soft comments make me a little bit concerned. So that would be it for now.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Mr. Bucci, did you? Oh, actually, hang on one sec. Is there anyone that would like to speak against any further objectors? No. Okay, Mr. Bucci, go ahead.
I'd just like to say with respect to the second objector, he's not a property owner. The actual property owner did not complain about the height, so I would ask you to take that into consideration. I would say that all the relief that we're asking for is very de minimis, all within the 15% modification rule. In fact, it wasn't until the Zoning Enabling Act was modified to require mandate 15% modification rule that the town then backed out the 15% to thwart the intent of the State Zoning Enabling Act. So, but for that, this would have been permitted as of right without regard to the file. But so,
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's
that will
an
be-
important point. I think if you look at the testimony of Mr. Coyle, Mr. Lombardo, and even the recommendation of your own planning board, we meet all of the requirements for relief. The planning board recommended that the relief be granted. The variance requested do not imply the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance comprehensive plan. The hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the property, not due to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. Not due to the physical or economic disability of the applicant. The hardship which the applicant seeks relief is not the result of prior action of the applicant, and the granting of the variances will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. And keep in mind, the Main Street Burnside, the house to the left is 39.5 feet, and the house to the right is 35 feet in height. And I disagree with his characterization that we cherry-picked. I mean, there were houses from around the neighborhood. There was a chart with, I don't know, maybe 10 houses, 8 to 10 houses in it, showing the different heights and the size of the lots in the comparison of the Lombardo report. So I would say that because of the constrained substandard lot, we couldn't expand horizontally, so the only way for growth is obviously vertically, which is why we need a height requirement. The release lot is minimal, it aligns with the existing homes in and along the street, falls within the 15% modification rule, and denial of the relief will amount to more than a mere inconvenience, and you heard the testimony that Angelo Rotella, one of the property owners, is claustrophobic, and the testimony that, you know, it gives you a sense of openness and airiness, does help with energy requirements in the wintertime, in the summertime in terms of heating and airflow and circulation. So I'd say for all of those reasons, the relief should be granted. Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to make sure that if we haven't already, I'd like to move all of our reports in the CV tonight with these full exhibits.
You got them all? You have them?
I have reports from here, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so no further testimony
Excuse me?
and no further questions from the board.
Excuse me, could I offer one bit of rebuttal?
No, sir, you cannot.
Okay, pursuant to,
No, sir, you
B,
cannot.
Section 6, it
Mr.
says
Lamondola,
response
The,
by,
Mr. Lamondola, the answer is no, you cannot.
can council review the rules?
Defer to the chair, you're controlling me.
I'm sorry, sir. We let you speak. We have the final attorney have a rebuttal to your testimony. That's the end of the public hearing. Okay, now, if there's no further questions from the board?
Can I ask Ryan a question?
You may.
Ryan, do you have a GIS overlay of how close that sidewalk is to, compared to the way that it's set up? I know there's a concern about parking on the sidewalk.
Yeah, this is the site as it exists today. The sidewalk is right here. Does that help?
Yeah. So the sidewalk is inside the white line.
Yes, yep.
Between the white and the yellow.
Yeah, it's right here.
And how much space would be from the property line to the house where that parking spot's supposed to be? Is it like must be a parallel part?
I don't know off the top of my head, I don't have that measurement, and it's not provided in the site plan, however. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not sure I can provide that without having.
I would say it's over 20 feet, if you don't mind me just, if you take a look at the 10 feet here, this deck is 9.5 feet, and there's a gap between the two, so it's over 20 feet.
So the parking is
No,
that
that's the wrong
gray
one.
shaded
Oh, I guess,
area?
yeah.
It's further.
No, that's the old, this is the red. Is the parking.
So it looks like it's saying 10 feet there on that red.
Yeah, its width is 10 feet, go by 20.
But I don't.
But I'm saying it's 10 feet from, you asked about the distance from the sidewalk to the house. So if you take that 10 feet plus the 9.5, plus the gap,
27.
Thank you.
Julie, do you have something you wanted to add? You have something you wanted to add?
I'm just mumbling. No, I'm just doing the math right there. You've got 10 feet and then it's not 9, it's 9, the deck is 9 feet wide, right? So, yeah, but I think the question, Ms. Brichot, how wide is the parking space to the edge? It's 10 by 20 along that property. So if you, Mr. Depani, could you go back to that aerial image for a minute? So you see that the house just to the west, you can see how the car is not actually parked on the sidewalk.
Yeah, the two cars, yeah, one is and one isn't. Both of them aren't, yeah, I get it.
No, I don't think either one are.
Yeah.
The GIS, it makes it appear look like that it's parked in the right of way,
Yep.
but we don't trust our GIS lines, that's why we don't
Interesting.
measure off them.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'd like to take a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close.
second.
And a first and a second.
I'm sorry, who first? Thank you.
You first. Have a first and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Close the public hearing. What says the board?
Chairman, members of the board, with respect to project summary, Rotella, tax assessors plat S lot 51, located at 29 Burnside Avenue, I make the following findings of fact. This is an application submitted by the applicant requesting to demolish the existing rear yard deck and to construct a rear yard addition with an attached deck at the property. The applicant is seeking relief from section 6.4 of the ordinance dimensional regulations. Specifically, they are seeking a 3.42 foot front yard setback variance, a 4 foot 6 inch building height variance, and a 0.03% variance from the floor area ratio. There was an evidentiary hearing during which the applicant was represented by attorney Anthony Bucci, who made a presentation on behalf of the applicant, noting what I have just put forth on the record. The applicant had 3 experts that testified. The first expert was Joseph Lombardo, who provided detailed opinion both here at this hearing and in a report which is part of the record. And in pertinent part, I would make note of page 6, table 1, which he testified to extensively and outlined in detail his opinion that the request for a dimensional variance met all of the requested elements set forth in the ordinance, none of which were rebutted by any opponent. In addition, the applicant had William J. Coyle testify. His report is also part of the record dated March 20th, 2025, and he testified in his capacity as an expert in real estate valuations and the like. He testified to a reasonable degree of certainty that this project would have no impact or diminution on the value of any of the neighboring properties, and notable of his opinion was that the improvements would be in character with the neighboring properties, that none of the applicant's activities in this present application result from any prior action of the applicant, and it was his opinion that denying the relief requested would result in more than a mere inconvenience if the relief was not granted. Additionally, the applicant produced today a third expert, Mr. Joseph Mallow, who was qualified as an expert in engineering and stormwater drainage. His curriculum vitae was submitted as part of the record and is in evidence. He was produced to testify today with respect to the drainage issues which were raised during the first hearing and were the subject matter of 2 of the objectors, to whom I will address in a moment, who had issues with drainage. Mr. Mallow's opinion was that the revised drainage plan will mitigate any of the water drainage issues, that it would not add to any runoff that was otherwise occurring at the property naturally. He testified that he has designed a drainage swale with to use his terms, a weir wall, which would pond any stormwater and eventually release that water to the ground, naturally over a period of time. He said that there would be no increase in runoff occasioned by this particular project. In addition, Mr. Mallow referred specifically to section 7.7 of the town ordinance and testified that the drainage model that he has prepared fully conforms with both the town and, importantly, the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management standards. Testified that the drainage plan is developed in accordance with the 100-year storm specifications. And I suppose the importance of that is that it could have been designed to lesser specifications. He also testified that this plan is likely to reduce current water runoff due to the natural water conditions. There were two objectors that appeared both at the initial hearing and today's hearing. The first objector was Mr. Daniel Amendola, who resides at 7 Middle Road, which I believe is lot 52. Lot 52. He testified that he thought that this project was not in character with other homes in the neighborhood. He testified that it was his belief that the cathedral ceiling is not something that would rise to more than a mere inconvenience. He had concerns initially that this was potentially going to be a rental property, which I'll address in a minute, which was rebutted by the owner's testimony that it's not going to be a rental. Most importantly, he was very concerned about drainage and water runoff and the use of a hardscape on the property, and believed that this project was going to increase the water runoff onto his property. Mr. Pagano, who lives at the same address, testified similarly that he was concerned about the water drainage issues, and that was one of his main concerns. He also addressed today condition number 2 in the revised project summary, which suggested that there be no fill brought on the site. I think it's also notable that while both Mr. Lamandolo and Mr. Pagano raised some very I guess notable points that were of concern to them, we are, at least in my view, a quasi-judicial board here, and there's no expert testimony supporting anything that they testified to. And therefore, their concerns that the current drainage plan is not going to work and the like leaves us with little room to, or there's very little support for that through an expert that they have rebutting the applicant's expert. There was also, at the beginning of today's hearing, Attorney Bucci made note to the board that a revised site plan was also submitted, which shows that there will be pervious parking located on the, oh, sorry, the word just lost me there. Pervious parking located on the site, whereas now it's obviously impervious, as you can see from the various exhibits that have been admitted into evidence. Lastly today, Mr. Kenneth Rotella, who's the owner of the property, testified and made clear to this board that he is renovating this house specifically for his own family use, that he has no intention of renting the property, and he addressed the building height issue by saying that the design of the house was in part designed to accommodate his brother's claustrophobic condition. And that concludes my findings of fact.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Kyle, may I offer the following amendment to your motion that finding of fact letter A, due to the applicant submitting a new site plan that was not reflected in this plan, I would ask that you amend in the first sentence that the site plan was completed, it's no longer completed by Narragansett Engineering, it is Cliff Land Surveying LLC. The date be reflected as October 18th, 2023, and that plan was last revised on May 21st, 2025.
So the engineer now is Cliffside, is that what you said?
Cliff Land Surveying LLC. They are a registered land surveyor.
I'll, I guess, add to or amend my findings of fact to put into the record that the new Cliffside Land Survey submitted a plan on May 21st, 2025.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
First and properly second motion to accept the findings of fact. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman, members of the board, with respect to project summary, Rotella, tax assessors plat S lot 51, I would move that the requested relief be granted based upon the evidence that was adduced during the hearing. I also make note that but for the objections, this is a project that would not, I believe, have even needed review by this board. I think there is substantial evidence in the record to support that the applicant has met all of the conditions set forth for a variance under the Narragansett zoning ordinance, namely that the hardship from which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique characteristics of the land and structure and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area. Hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant and does not result primarily from the desire of the applicant to realize financial gain. The granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan. I would also note on this particular point that the staff did a review of buildings in the surrounding area and determined that there were several properties near to this property which had heights of 35 feet. So the requested variance on that basis is not something that's out of character with the rest of the neighborhood. I also believe that there's sufficient testimony in the record that the hardship that would be suffered by the applicant if the variance is not granted would amount to more than a mere inconvenience. And I move that the requested relief, that is 3.42 front yard setback, be granted, 4 foot 6 inch building height variance be granted, and the de minimis 0.03% FAR variance be granted.
Conditions.
Yes, and there are also in the staff report, I would incorporate into that motion the conditions 1 through 7, I believe.
Do we need one? I think one.
You can strike condition 1. We have received 3 original revised site plans that represent the
Sorry,
project.
that was my error. So conditions 2 through 7, as
And
set forth in the staff report.
how about the condition of no fill? Or no,
That's number 2.
That's condition, that's represented in
sorry,
condition number 2.
See, my turn. Okay, yep, motion made to
Second.
grant.
Second.
Made first and second to grant the relief requested. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good luck, Mr. Tell.
Thank you very much.
Get you some pictures. Okay?
Oh, yeah, yeah, 8:30 is good, 2 hours. Yeah, thank you. I'm so thrilled. I'm like freezing. You're freezing? Ready to try.
I was so worried it was gonna be hot in here.
It is hot in here.
I'm freezing. That's what you said.
Maybe because they're right near the window.
Is it freezing over there?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
definitely.
But, yeah. Okay, next up on the agenda is Mills Camp. Suzenka, I believe.
You're not an attorney, right?
I am not an attorney, I am not an engineer.
All right, please raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please state your name and spell your last.
My name is John Suzienka, S-U-S-I-E-N-K.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Mr. I'm sorry.
My name is John Suzienka,
Suzienka, thank you.
S-U-S-I-E-N-K-A.
Thank
I
you.
am not a lawyer, I'm not an engineer.
That part I got. Mr. Suzenka, please state your case.
Well, I've been a resident up at Knowles Camp. My father built a cottage up there in 1950. With any piece of wood or anything that he could get his hands on. It survived everything that Mother Nature has thrown at it, and it's still standing. But I am a soon-to-be retired Massachusetts assistant principal, and I'm looking to take it down and build a new cottage per the master plan that Knowles Camp in the town has agreed to. I'm not looking to step outside the master plan. Exactly what it says is exactly what I would. I'm looking to build a D model. It's an 18 by 40 ranch. There's 2 bedrooms. It's a summer residence. No rentals. We're in there from May 1st until mid-October. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, thank you. So really, you're looking for special use permit, and what you're building is in accordance with the master plan, looking for any relief from any dimensional relief at all.
Excuse me.
Any questions from the board? Anyone? No. You can have a seat, sir.
That's it.
Well, for the time being.
Thank you.
So, no questions? Everybody comfortable? No questions from you? You're comfortable? Okay. I'm going to go for opponents. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of this project as a proponent? Seeing none, is there anyone that would like to speak as an opponent, as opposed to this? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing. Second.
I have the first and properly second motion to close. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to make findings of fact. I'd like to make a statement of fact. I'd like to make the findings of fact. It does feel like I'm yelling. We had, the applicant is Mr. Suzenka, and his tax assessor's plat S1, lot 291-26. The applicant has submitted a request to demolish the existing dwelling and structure and construct a new seasonal dwelling unit on lot 26 pursuant of the Knowles Camp Master Agreement. This application requires a special use permit for the expansion of a non-conforming use, section 10.1. Lot 291 is known as Knowles Camp, which currently has approximately 105 dwelling units and located on one parcel. Unit 26 is an existing type D cottage. The proposed alteration is to demolish the cottage and construct a new 18 by 40 seasonal dwelling with an attached 10 by 10 deck. And we know that that is in compliance with the Knowles Camp Master Agreement with the town listed. And then
That's a board, yes.
so, I'd like to put into record the planning board's recommendation, that they found it in conformance and that they recommended approval. And that the project summary be put into, the whole project be put into fact, as part of that. And I'd like to make it known that Mr. Sedensky spoke about how he wanted to do the demolition and reconstruction. And that he will be using this as his own, won't be renting it, he's using it for his retirement and pleasure. And that's, I think that's it. So I'm missing something.
Thank you. Okay, we have a first, do I have a second? Second. I have first and properly second motion to enter the findings of fact. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the special use permit for Camp Knowles, Sezenka, tax assessors plat S1, lot 291-26, to allow for the expansion of non-conforming use for section 10.1. I'd like to enter in the project summary and also the following conditions are provided, that all the construction shall be completed in substantial conformance with the Knowles Camp Master Plan Agreement, as well as architectural plans and elevations submitted with this application, and that the proposed cottage be reconnected to the sewer system upon completion of the project, and proof that be provided prior to issuance of the certificate of occupancy, and that this project meets all applicable NFPA and RSSBC regulations. Yeah, that's it.
I have a motion to grant the relief requested with conditions. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and properly second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good luck with the income. All right, back down.
Thank you, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for having us tonight.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Next on the Next on the agenda is Piver, Plat U, Lot 62, 3 East Pine Road. Looking for relief from Coastal Overlay District. 4.4 for 163.4 foot variance and special use permit. Sir?
How you doing?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last.
Daniel Paiva, P-A-I-V-A.
Thank you.
So my name is Dan Paiva. I purchased this lot back in October of 2022 with my sister. We're ready to propose a plan to move forward. The plan we're proposing is a 2-bed, 2-bath structure that's just under 1,100 square feet. We're not looking for any dimensional relief. We're just asking for a special use permit due to the fact that we're in the coastal overlay district.
There is an existing foundation that's in the ground from the previous house that was there. That existing foundation is currently at 36 feet from the coastal feature. Our deck is pretty much at the same distance, at 37 feet. Our footprint, we are providing about 6 more feet of relief from the coastal feature for the footprint of the structure.
You're providing or requesting?
Oh, well, our footprint is 6 feet further from the coastal feature from what the current
So you're
foundation is.
reducing the ground?
Yes.
To better the end condition?
I'm sorry, what's
To
that?
better the end condition?
Exactly.
So you got?
Yep.
Okay. Pretty straightforward. I don't have any questions or comments or anything from the board? Questions, concerns, comments?
Is this a septic system or a sewer?
No, it's sewer.
Okay, if no questions or conditions or comments at this point, I'll look for proponents, those who would like to speak in favor of this project. Seeing none and hearing none, I'd like to ask for objectors or opponents. Seeing none, any discussion by the board? And I'm looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
And first and properly second, motion to close the public hearing. Last chance for discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman, members of the board, with respect to project summary 5 tax assessors plat U, lot 62, property location is at 3 East Pond Road. The applicant has submitted a request to construct a 2-bedroom, single-family dwelling with a rear yard deck and stairs. This project will require a variance and special use permit from the Coastal Resources Overlay District, Section 4.4 of the zoning ordinance. Specifically, the applicant is requesting a 163.4-foot variance and special use permit. The applicant is Mr. Daniel Paiva, who testified here this evening. He testified that he and his sister purchased this property in October of 2022. Testified that they're going to build a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, which is going to be under 1,100 square feet. That located on the property currently is the foundation, I guess, of a pre-existing home, and that the construction plans that they have in place are going to actually reduce the non-conformity that existed, or the non-conformity with the setbacks that existed before. So he's going to be reducing that nearness to the coastal feature. There were no objectors to the proposal. And that concludes my findings of fact. I don't want to go longer than he went.
I have a motion and properly second motion to accept the findings of fact. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman, members of the board, with respect to project summary, Paiva, tax assessor plot U, lot 62, I would make a motion to approve Mr. Paiva's requested relief from section 4.4. That is a 163.4-foot variance and special use permit. With the conditions that are set forth in the staff report. Ryan, are there any that are not applicable?
Nope, they're all applicable.
All right, 1 through 7 are applicable. For purposes of this proceeding, Mr. Paiva has submitted sufficient evidence to meet the application for a variance as set forth in our ordinance and for a special use permit as set forth in section 11 and 12. And I would move that the application be granted.
Kind of like a first on the floor to grant the relief requested. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and properly second motion to grant the relief requested. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, next up on the agenda is Marcy, plat S1, lot 271, 7 Green Lane, for relief from section 1223, special use permit. Development standards for homes exceeding 4 bedrooms. That's all. Sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Michael Monti of Stary and there on behalf of the petitioner.
So before Mike goes on, Nick, Mike, I mostly recuse from them because I do a lot of legal work for their firm, so I think just out of abundance of caution, I mean, I think I can dispatch.
As you know, it's a personal choice. Personally, I would always act out of abundance of caution, but it's a personal choice for you.
Well, it's a good time for me to use the head.
Who's going to read the findings of fact? That's my question.
I get a little break.
Thanks.
Around the clock.
So,
hang on for a second. So for the purpose of this hearing, John, you'll be sitting as a...
excellent. So I expect to be very brief. This is a petition to convert an existing office in a 4-bedroom house into a bedroom. Under section 12.23, that requires a special use permit, whereby the petitioner needs to show that there's adequate parking, among other standards, and then if those standards are met, the special use permit under the ordinance needs to be granted. So the petitioner got his building permit denial when he applied to change the office into a bedroom, was asked to produce a land plan showing the parking area. It's 300 square feet per bedroom is required. We have enough space given the existing driveway and the garage where we're in excess of 1,500 square feet. Every other component of section 12.23 has been satisfied in accordance with the staff report. We've come to that conclusion. We were before the planning board in April, and the planning board unanimously recommended approval and that the project is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan. So we believe that all of the papers that are in front of you already should be adequate for you to make a positive finding of fact on each of the 12.23 standards. But if there are any questions for me or for the petitioner who's here this evening, Mr. Morrissey, we'd happily entertain those questions.
So have as I do.
Yes, sir.
The first one is the planning board, and my review of this as well, would like some clarification on the egress and ingress of this windows in the above the garage.
Above the garage?
That's the
I'm
next,
sorry, this
that's
is the next one, sorry.
I mean, that's the last one, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's the next application.
But there are some egress in this. So the planning board actually asked that the egress and ingress points located in the living room be clarified.
Yes, so we submitted an updated floor plan, so you should have received that. The initial floor plan we had didn't detail, I don't know if this is the reconstruction. So this is the proposed, but there's also an existing. I don't know if we can toggle to that. So here's the existing office, and then if we toggle to the next screen, the petitioner's architect put this together to further explain the dimensions of the new room and how it would fit with the living room, and that there would in fact be adequate egress through the door here and not obstruct this walkway.
Okay, and what's the width of that door?
This doorway here, I believe, is 30 inches.
30 inches?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to clarify, the egress has to be through the window, not the door.
Okay. Thank you. Did you catch that?
I did. Do you
And
have a?
egress through the window, and that's, I don't. can't
Yes,
see
so
the
all
Well,
of
it says
the,
it's to remain, right up at the top.
Yes.
left, Existing egress
I
window
can't
to
read it,
remain.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
yep, so all of the existing, windows are going to remain as is. And this was, reviewed by the building official, didn't note anything wrong with the existing windows.
Wait, you agree? Good, good.
Yeah, we'll
We can make
do
it
a follow-up inspection on this once the permit's granted. But I just wanted to clarify, he had mentioned that the egress was through
Through the
the door.
door, yeah.
Right, that's what the planning board had requested, we provide additional information on.
Got it,
So that's why we provided that.
got it, thank you.
But yes, the proposed bedroom will have to comply with all provisions of the building code.
Got
And
it.
it's our understanding that it does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from the board?
We received an email of opposition related to like fire code. Is there anything to go?
They'll have to put an additional smoke detector in the bedroom and right outside the bedroom.
Okay.
The fire marshal will take care of that as part of the building permit review process
Perfect.
prior to it being issued.
Thank
Gotcha.
you.
Ryan, the emails received from an objector, their emails, actually Shaw's counsel as well, what weight do they hold during the discussion? I mean,
It's the decision to assign weight, or the weight that's assigned, or any weight at all, is up to the board as to any testimony. I mean, it's correspondence that's received, you can choose to accept or not accept that correspondence, and give it as much weight as you see fit.
Got it. Okay. So we should have received 2 emails from Jill, forwarded from Jill, with some projections. So we hang on to them until we get to the objectors, but we'll make a decision then. Okay. So no further questions?
Thank you.
No further testimony?
Unless you have questions or if there's
At the moment-
objections, then I would
At the
like
moment,
the, okay, thank
at
you.
the moment we don't. Okay, so for the public, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this project? I have none. Does anyone like to speak in favor of this project? We also have none. Okay. So to the memos, we had, each of us received some information from Jill, or from the Community Development Department. It's communication, it's not expert testimony, but we've got this info, so do with it what you will.
I do have a question. Is there anything in our ordinance book that would prohibit someone from being able to make an office that is of the correct size to be able to sit?
I'll defer to Wayne. I've always taken the position that it comes down to an enforcement issue. And that's, yeah, you hear that a lot around here, especially. Is that your position too, Wayne?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they meet the requirements of parking egress, we typically, and, you know, in this case, it's within the existing structure, so far it doesn't come into play, that it would be allowable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
And it meets the requirements.
Yes.
Any further questions? Okay, having no speakers, no further discussion, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close.
Second.
I have a first and properly second motion to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman, members of the board,
Go, speak up.
with respect to the project summary for Marcy, tax assessor map, plat S1, lot 271, located at 7 Green Lane. We heard Michael testify or give an overview of obviously the project, basically just to convert an office to an additional bedroom, and it looks like enlarge it a little bit. We addressed, the windows are currently egressed, so no changes are required unless during inspection they're found not to meet the egress standards. There's adequate parking, that was submitted with a site plan as well. The relief seeking is to, obviously convert an office to the bedroom. They require a special use permit, obviously, because they will exceed the limit of 4 bedrooms. I wish to include into the finding of facts from the project summary A through F. We did not receive any opponents or proponents this evening. We did receive some correspondence for the record. Pretty simple. That concludes my finding of facts. Unless there any-
Just any board have any board recommendations in there?
Let's see.
Page 4.
We wish to add the planning board recommendations that they all concurred that it was complete and in conformance. And they obviously passed it on their end. That's it, so I conclude my facts, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a first, do we have a second?
Second.
I have a first and probably second. Motion to accept the findings of fact as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
With respect to the relief requested as outlined in the project summary, want to include 1 through 8. That's it. At this point, I make a motion to approve the relief being requested.
Second.
Hold on. No
Yeah.
conditions? No conditions?
There's,
Yeah,
I
one.
believe that there's one condition,
Just one. Okay.
that was, that was, put in the staff review, as well as one that was suggested by the planning board. However, the applicant did, provide updated floor plans that addressed, that condition. So you can strike the condition that was, or not include the condition that was set forth by the planning board, and include the one remaining that's, laid out in the site plan.
Okay. So I amend that to include.
Okay, so you
Include
to
the one.
include the one condition.
Okay.
Okay, first and probably second? So, okay.
I'm sorry, you seconded? Thank you.
Okay, this is to
So can I make a motion to approve?
grant the relief request.
Requested.
All those in
Second.
favor? I got a second.
Good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is London Street, Plat M, Lot 167-22, Holbrook, 4 Holbrook Street. Seeking relief from Section 4.8.1.5 dimensional regulations for a .03 or 11 square foot FAR variance, a .85 foot left side yard variance, and a 3.5 foot height variance. Section 4816C, Breakwater Village Special District, a special use permit for expansion of any greater than 25% of the footprint. In section 4.8.1.6F, Breakwater Village Special District for special use permit for the construction of a 2-story building. Sir,
Good evening.
how are you,
Mr.
sir?
Chairman and members of the board. My name is John Bedelacqua. I represent the Washington. At first, I want to ask that the board make a full exhibit of the new drawings that were requested by the planning board, because they requested for fire purposes to move the building over. So
The board does have the newest site plan. You can still submit the exhibit if you'd like, but they do
No, no,
have.
if they have it, I
Yeah.
just want to make it accepted.
Yeah, no, they do have it, and they have it at their desk.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The applicants purchased this property in 2022. They were going to build in accordance to the then zoning regulations. And unfortunately, the husband was involved in a serious medical condition, which is continuing forever. The building, if it were back in 22, we could conform for his needs. But unfortunately, zoning regulations were changed in 2023, which reduced the square footage of the property and also reduced the opportunity for them to build the appropriate facility for him. So the hardship that, yeah, I'm sure they understand the 15% very well. They deal with it all the time. But the hardship that they're experiencing isn't a hardship that they developed. Between the good Lord and the zoning changes and restrictions that were placed on the property, that created the hardship, nothing to do with the applicants before you. We had a meeting before the planning board, and before that board, everything was discussed, as you probably well know, and I'm going to make this as brief as I can, because I have a tendency to go on forever. So, they concluded that they wanted the building moved. We did that. They indicated that as far as they were concerned, considering the circumstances that were involved, that it complied with the comprehensive plan. There were other buildings and residences in the area that really conform with the height. In fact, one of the photographs that we had submitted shows a house that's about the same size. His condition is something that only got worsened. His apparatus for movement is bigger than what would usually done because of the independence. So, to make a final pitch, they conform with all of the qualifications to determine that a variance would be permitted here. One, the hardship was not conducive or any action by them. Second, this is not just a mere inconvenience, this is a necessity. And it certainly meets all the other criteria. If there are any questions to the board of my client or myself, you're more than happy to answer them. That's probably the briefest presentation I've ever made.
I understand that the reason for the illness is a reason for the height variance. Are we looking to install an elevator, or what's causing the height?
So it's the 15%
Wait a minute,
variance,
hold on,
sorry.
hold on. You want me to swear in?
Yes, yeah. If you're not speaking into this word.
I apologize.
That's
That's
okay.
all right. I'll swear you in and then you can talk.
Okay.
All right? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, now just state and spell your last name for me.
Trudy K. Lundstrom, Lundstrom.
And spell your first name.
Trudy, Trudy.
Thank you.
So let me clarify, I'm not looking for any explanation of medical
Okay.
condition or anything like that. I just
Yes.
want to understand why we need the height variance. Okay, why we need to go up?
So we're installing a, the chair, this chair
The
is
chair
front
lift,
stairs,
chair lift.
correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, so you need the height clearance at the
Correct.
top to be able to get there.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to answer that.
Sorry.
for you, but-
No worries.
Tag team.
Has the Breakwater Village Architectural Review still denied this?
Well,
Have
you
they
know,
since approved?
I'm glad you asked that question because we had the same discussion before the board, and we can't figure out whether or not they took a vote or not. And when the board asked that question, they said, go to the zoning board and the planning board and ask for that.
15% variance.
Right.
It's like a catch-22.
Thank you.
What happens is the ARC denies it because it doesn't meet the same regulations that the town zoning has. So they automatically deny it. It gets sent to the zoning board.
I think probably there should be some language in their denial that if they get successful approval from the zoning board, they would be in concert with that and would not have an objection to it.
Got it.
But
So-
unfortunately, they do have to deny it initially.
So they deny it, kick it down the road to us, we decide where we're going with it, and
Yeah.
we make the
Can we
decision
get them
essentially.
to approve subject to,
Exactly.
wait a minute, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say,
There
can-
could be future language to that effect from the ARC. to
It'd
clear-
be
keep
easier
things
for us
clear.
if we got them
Yeah.
to
Would be-
approve
be really
subject
good.
to.
I cannot take everyone talking.
Yeah, sir.
It's easier for us to what?
It would be easier for us if we got them to approve subject to our approval. That way, there's no question, there's no legal question on that. But that's not what they do.
We could request that in the future.
Okay, so Mr. Bevelacqua, please explain the 15%. I'm not following the 15%.
This is, they have the net lot area,
Yes, sir?
floor area ratio, 0.39 is required. Is the, excuse it, maximum that you can have, and we have a 0.42 request. It's approximately about 111 square feet.
Got it. That's what we have, 15%. Thank you.
Well,
15% means a lot of different things to us, so, thank you.
May I speak for a minute?
You absolutely may.
Thank you. When we purchased the property in 2022, the lot size versus the amount of FAR, the FAR, weight square footage that you can build on that property is what we expected that we would be able to build, and that's what we thought we would be able to build for our future going, for our future. And unfortunately, between 2022 and 2023, the FAR came down 15%. And that's where the limitations came into play. We didn't have an opportunity to put a house plan out in that short period of time. And that's what we're asking for, I guess, basically, to go back to what the property was when we purchased the property. And that far, at that 15% variance allows us to go back to that, the 39% FAR floor area ratio. It's kind of 4.2, sorry.
0.42.
Right, so and you're asking for a 0.03 relief, what you're looking for.
So when we presented it to the planning board, the request was that we move the house 2 feet 3 inches to the left, so the north, to allow for fire apparatus to come in for those egress windows, I guess, on that south side. And I did go right to the site manager and I asked him to draw that plan up, and we presented it and brought it into Ryan and presented that, and that's where I stand at this point. Sorry, this is not in my
You're doing fine.
comfort level here.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Just clarification on the 15%, because maybe now I'm not understanding. So when initially FAR, let's take FAR for instance, one of the dimensional things. So before the changes, they could build a certain living square foot house.
Correct.
After the changes, it was reduced, but then wasn't it supposed to be that administrative review was supposed to let you
It would have, in this case.
to build the
because-
same amount?
Yeah, but in this case, because they have to get a special use permit, all of the relief comes before the board.
Got it, okay, so I got it, okay, that's easy.
And I take it, due to Mr. Lundstrom's condition, that's another reason why
Correct.
you need a variance from the FAR, in
Because
order to
we
build
need more room
this structure to accommodate
structure.
them.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, any further questions? Anyone else want to present? Any more? No?
No, I'm sure.
So am I, but okay, have a seat, we'll continue on. Hey, from the audience, is there anyone who'd like to speak as an opponent, as a proponent, someone who'd like to speak in favor of this project? Seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to speak as an objector, as an opponent? Seeing none, if there's no further questions from the board, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion to close.
Second.
First in 2 seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Do you have this? Just who has this?
Sure. Yeah, so Chair and board members, would like to.
Is Keith not sitting on this one?
Are we asking somebody sitting?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm
All right.
sorry,
Okay.
I'm not
That's fine.
saying this.
All right.
Oh, is he an alternate tonight?
He's an
I'm an alternate.
alternate.
He was.
I sat because you recused.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'll do it.
So, you'll do it then?
Right on the spot. All right. All right, Chairman, members of the board, with respect to project summary, Lundstrom, tax assessors, plat M, lot 167-22, 4 Holberg Street. The applicant has submitted a request to construct a 2-story, 2-bedroom dwelling with a rear yard, deck, and stairs. The project requires a special use permit from the Breakwater Village Special District Section 4.8.1.6C and Section 4.8.1.6F. The project also requires a variance from the dimensional regulations of Section 4.8.1.5. This application is being reviewed under the amended Breakwater Village Special District Dimensional Regulations effective January 1, 2024. The relief requested, dimensional relief requested is a 0.03% FAR variance, a 0.8, am I reading that right, Brian? 0.85 feet, what is that, not even a foot?
Yeah, no, not even
Not a foot. 0.85 feet left side yard setback variance, a 3.5 foot height variance, and they are also seeking a special use permit from the Breakwater Village Special District for expansion greater than 25% of the footprint, and also a special use permit for construction of a 2-family dwelling within the Breakwater Village Special District. The applicant is represented by Mr. John Bevilacqua, legal counsel. He made a presentation that the Lundstroms purchased this property in 2022, and that due to a medical condition that unexpectedly affecting Mr. Lundstrom, the applicants are in need of, I guess, building this structure in such a manner as to accommodate his medical condition. I'm sorry, Ms. Lundstrom, I didn't get your first name.
Trudy, T-R-U-D-Y.
Oh, Trudy, all right.
Sorry.
That's it. Trudy Lundstrom testified on behalf of the applicant as well, and she explained that the primary reason for the height variance is that a chairlift or other assistive device is going to be constructed within the dwelling unit, and this in part also is the reason for a variance from the FAR requirements in order to accommodate the, I guess, larger interior footprint to accommodate Mr. Lundstrom. I would incorporate into my findings of fact the complete project summary, and that concludes my findings of fact.
Mr. Chairman?
Can we also include in the findings of fact that there's a revision under findings of fact A, that the last revised version of the site plan is actually was submitted on 4/26/2025, April 26, 2025, instead of May 9.
Oh, okay, give me the date again, I'm sorry.
It's going to be April 26, 2025.
Okay. I will amend my findings of fact with respect to my incorporation of the project summary subparagraph A to say April 26, 2025.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to accept the findings of fact. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and properly second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman, members of the board, with respect to Lundstrom Tax Assessors Plat 1, Lot 167-22, I would make a motion to approve the relief requested. The applicant has presented sufficient evidence through both the testimony of Trudy Lundstrom, the presentation of her counsel, Mr. John Bevilacqua, and the documentation submitted as part of the application for the dimensional relief requested and for the special use permits as requested. In particular, with respect to the variance, there was evidence submitted that the hardship for which the applicant seeks relief is due to the unique, well, it would be due to the unique characteristics of the land in part, and not to the general characteristics of the surrounding area, that the hardship is not the result of any prior action of the applicant, and that the granting of the requested variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area or impair the intent or purpose of the zoning ordinance or the comprehensive plan. There was also testimony adduced at the hearing that this hardship would amount to well beyond a mere inconvenience for Mr. and Mrs. Lundstrom, given the medical situation of Mr. Lundstrom. With respect to the request for a special use permit, there was some testimony that the Breakwater Village District initially denied the ARC application, but there was some information provided to us from the building official that under the circumstances it had to be denied and would be left to this board to decide. I think if I got that right, to decide whether or not to approve the application based upon the presentation we made. The application meets all of the requirements for a special use permit as set forth in the town of Narragansett zoning ordinance. I would also note in my decision that the planning board found the application complete, and they also recommended approval of the requested relief 5-0. I would move that the requested relief be granted with the conditions that are set forth in the project summary, conditions 1 through 5.
I have a motion on the floor to grant the relief requested. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Sorry about all the questions.
Okay, next up and finally up is, let me destroy this, Alejanian? Alejanian. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Sorry, before we start, can I just point out that there is a typo on page 5 of the report under the planning board recommendations, condition 1. It's not 2 bedrooms, it's 3 bedrooms.
Thank you.
Goodness. I was wondering about that.
Sir.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Attorney Dane Ardente, and I represent the applicant in this case, Michael Alejanian. You might get it wrong sometimes. Mr. Alejanian is proposing an accessory dwelling structure, which we need relief for here tonight before the board. We need 2-dimensional variances and a special use permit. The special use permit comes from section 7.3 because this is an accessory structure that's going to propose over the 16-foot maximum. The other dimensional variance that we're going to seek relief from is the side yard setback in the amount of think 6.5 feet, which I'll get to in a minute why we're going to need that, and a 5.1 foot height relief. The structure as is going to be proposed at 21 feet, maximum zone is 16. The side yard setback, just very quickly, do we have a picture of the site plans by chance? There we go. There's an old well currently right there, and we'll get into this further on in the presentation, but one of the questions of planning was why can't we move this down? We're not really sure exactly how expensive it would be to fill that well, and one of your planning board members had indicated it could be very expensive. For the purposes of just being able to construct the accessory dwelling unit and not pose even further environmental hazard by filling a well, that's why we located it where it was. As of right now, Mr. Aljanian proposes this as a two-story garage. It's going to be a 1.5A car garage on the first floor and a recreation and kind of workout room on the second floor. There were some questions among the board, planning board at the prior meeting as to whether or not we were going to propose or be willing to limit proposal of the upstairs second floor as a accessory dwelling unit, extra bedroom. We have addressed that in our plans, but I can also address it here tonight for a few different reasons. This can't be a bedroom. The OWTS that we had submitted to you guys was maxed out at 3 bedrooms. The main house is 3 bedrooms as is. So legally it could not be a conforming 4th bedroom even if there was one put up there. Mr. Paul Larson's here tonight, who's the architect for this. One of the main questions was regarding if the windows met access and egress criteria. He's going to testify to that as well. And additionally, we were willing to put a deed restriction or condition, however the board wished to do it, saying that this will not be a 4th bedroom. There's no intention to make this a 4th bedroom. This is just merely an extension of space for Mr. Aljanian and his wife and family to just have a workout room, general storage space, things of that nature. As of tonight, I'm going to present Mr. Paul Larson, who's the architect, for the plans that were submitted and the architectural drawings. I have also with me Mr. Doug McLean, who is our principal planning expert, who's also the principal planner for the town of Coventry, and he's going to testify as to the land use conformance of this application. So without further ado, Mr. Carlson. Mr. Carlson, would you just put that? Sorry.
I just need to swear. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, yes.
Please state your name and spell your last.
It's Paul Larson, L-A-R-S-O-N.
Thank you.
Mr. Larson, can you give the board just your general qualifications?
Yes, I'm a registered architect in Rhode Island. I got registered in 2000. My education was in Boston, Boston Architectural College. It was a night school. Worked for architects during the day. And I've been working for architects since I've been about 18 years old. So I'm 58 now, so I've been at it for a while. I currently now have my own practice. I was a partner in the firm for about 18 years in Westerly, and I left that in 2018 and opened up my own practice.
If the board is satisfied with Mr. Larson's qualifications, I would just ask that they accept him as an expert in architecture and design.
Purposes of this hearing, Mr. Larson will be recognized as an expert in architecture.
What I'll do is I'll run through the plans and through the design process that I went through. I was asked to design a 1.5 bay garage with a workout room up above. First of all, the main house that he lives in, I renovated back in 2021, I believe we did the design.
22, 23.
22, 23. Very small house. Storage is very limited. There is no attic space. It's all slope ceilings on the second floor. And the other issue is that in the basement, to use that as a workout room or any type of storage is very limited because of the height of the basement. The basement, I believe, is only about 5 feet.
5, 6,
5
maybe.
foot high. So to get any kind of workout equipment in there is not going to work. So I looked at designing this garage with the minimalist height I could do that in. And then I'll explain the height in a minute, but I'll just run through the first floor. It's a 1-car garage. The rest of the space will be used for storage. We did talk about having an interior or an exterior stair. We decided to go with an interior stair just due to the weather with the snow and the ice in the winter. It's much better to be able to use this room during the winter months if it's an enclosed stair without going through and shoveling in ice. It's really a safety issue there. So that's the reason for the interior stair. Up on the second floor, we kept it pretty much modest, open space. We did add a bathroom so he could take a shower and use the bathroom during or after his workouts. Again, as Dan mentioned, there is no use for a bedroom up there. He's totally maxed out in his WPS. And then I had actually designed the windows on that floor to be non-egress. So none of those windows up there are egress windows, so it cannot be used as a building per the Rhode Island building code. So that really took the whole question of whether or not it's going to be used as a bedroom. If I had a window that met the square footage of an opening, that would be an issue, but it's all well under that. Getting to the design of the outside, the materials are very similar to the house. It's meant to complement the house. It's meant to have the same design features with return eaves, brackets with a little entry portico into the stair, which would mimic the front entry of their house. The actual roof slope of this garage is a 12-3 pitch, which is as minimum I can go with an asphalt roof shingle. You will see a steeper roof pitch in the drawings, but all that is a faked out raise for aesthetics. It's not a true roof. It's just built out 12 inches. The main roof, again, is the 12-3 pitch. And then I did the same thing on the sides. I put in a gable roof, which is faked out, just so that the building doesn't look so stark, and it kind of resembles and matches the existing house. The materials are going to be all cedar shingles gray. The trim is going to be an AZEC product. They'll be all hurricane resistant windows with asphalt roof shingles. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Now, if you have any questions, please provide me with them.
And it's mine, so.
What makes, what makes a window not an egress window?
It's a 5.7 square foot opening, so someone can get out of it. So say for a double hung window, a typical double hung window, a 3 foot by 5 foot high window would meet that egress. Anything less than that does not. So none of my windows are 3 feet wide. I think they're all 2 feet. And the height of my largest window might be 4'6". So it's well under the required egress windows.
I just have a question. You might not be the person to ask, but what is the hardship to have to ask for this?
He has no space in his house currently for any type of exercise equipment. So he bikes a lot. He wants to train in the winter months. To get a space above his garage would provide him that. And then with exercising equipment, once you're not on the ground, you're elevated a bit. So you need about 8 foot to 7 foot 6 height of clearance just to get the exercise equipment up there for him to be able to use it. So the hardship for me really would be the basement's too small, the house is too small. He has got no room to expand for a fitness center.
Yeah, okay. It's a beautiful drawing and
Thank
beautiful
you.
architecture.
Any further questions?
Hardship. Additionally, I'll just add to the hardship, and that was Mr. Alajanian had constructed the home in 2023. He underbuilt it to save space and to be more in conformance with the general area of the neighborhood. Mr. Alajanian ended up making this his permanent residence as of what, this year?
Is it okay for me to speak? Sure. About a month ago, we sold a...
Okay, now you can. If you're gonna speak like that, you have to be sworn.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and spell your last.
Michael Alajanian, AHLIJANIAN.
Thank you.
So,
Just for clarification purposes, I thought it was gonna be a yes or no answer. I didn't realize you had no, so.
just want to tell the board, we sold our Connecticut house. I'm a Rhode Island native. I grew up in Edgewood. We've been coming here for about 20 years while we're living in Connecticut and Massachusetts. We bought this house as a beach house, we tore it down, and the intent was always to have it as a permanent residence. Now that we've retired and sold the Connecticut house, when we renovated the house, the intent was always to build a garage for it. We didn't know that there were going to be, we were naive about the zoning and the planning constraints that exist or regulations that exist in Narragansett. We were also naive and didn't know about what the well and the challenges that the well would present to us. So I just wanted to provide that background. And I also want to emphasize the idea that it was never intended, nor will it ever be used while we own the house as an ADU, as a bedroom. That's not the intention at all. The intention is for exercise and storage.
Do you have a question? Now that you brought the well, so you could have saved a lot of time and money by just adding a breezeway between the building. Is it the well that caused you not to do that, or?
Well, no. So we understand that the breezeway would provide us with a little bit more flexibility with respect to the dimensions of the garage. We just don't like the design we don't like the idea of having a breezeway between the two structures.
That's fine. Yeah, just curious. I thought it might have been you mentioned it might be expensive to remove that well, so. Okay. Yes?
And I just have another question. And the first floor of the garage is about as short as it can go because is that correct?
Yes, I got it at 9 feet. So if we have a typical 9 by 8 foot garage door, it leaves me 1 foot of clearance. And I've called Fading Door, which I work with a lot. Their minimum clearance is 12 inches to 18 inches. So I took it to the minimum.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay.
Now I just have the presentation from Mr. Doug McLean, who I'll let him run through his CV, and at the end of it, if the board finds it acceptable, just ask that they accept him as an expert in land use and planning. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name and spell your last.
Doug McLean, M-C-L-E-A-N.
Thank you.
Good evening to the board members. Bit on me. I work as the Director of Planning and Development for the town of Coventry, closing in on about 20 years of professional planning experience in the state of Rhode Island. Have a master's degree from UMass and have my AICP, American Institute of Certified Planners, and maintained that for the course of the last about 18 years. I have a CV if you'd like it submitted as an exhibit, or I'm willing to entertain if the board has any questions on credentials.
If you have the CV, we'll...
Yeah, I've got one right here.
Thank you.
So if the pleasure of the board, I don't know if you wish to take a motion or if you have any questions on any of the professional background.
Recognized as an expert, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, so for the purposes of this hearing, Mr. McLean will be recognized as an expert in land use and planning.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, I'll ask the staff, would you mind going to the site plan, please? Thank you. I think I'm going to organize my speaking points strictly within the purview of the required standards. That's the best way. I'll go hit a standard, I'll describe what I think the site plan is doing to address that standard, and just move right through. This does require dimensional variance and a special use permit, so those are the standards that I'll be referencing. When they overlap, I'm going to be describing where the standards overlap and where a description addresses standards from each one. So I'll begin with the hardship from which the applicant seeks is due to the unique characteristics of the subject land and structures. So I'll just point out there are unique conditions here that would suggest that the location for the garage is the optimal and really becoming the only location that's possible. That's because you'll note the existing dwelling, it was, as has been mentioned, it was thoughtfully rebuilt, but largely within the same footprint. The OWTS location really renders that side of the lot impractical. So vehicle access has typically always been off of that rear side. The well location, as you see right there, they're designing the drive and the garage to be as tight as they can.
You can't put the garage behind the well, or else you wouldn't have access to be able to drive the car. So they're about as far away from that rear property line, which is the top of the screen, as they can be, given the site constraints that exist here. That's unique characteristics of the subject land and structures that exist today. Next is that the hardship is not the result of the prior action of the applicant. And I'll just note, the applicant purchased the property about 5 years ago. These hardship conditions, the unique conditions, they existed at the time that they purchased the property. So none of the issues that they're designing around were the result of their choices or their actions. Next, that the granting of the variance will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. I'll hit a few points here, and that general theme of character of the area. There's a few special use permit standards that I'll list as well. I'll describe what I see as a thoughtfully designed fit, and then I'll describe some of the standards that I think they hit on the special use permit as well. So in general, I think the applicant is taking an approach that is attempting to be context sensitive to the existing character of the surrounding area. They did, recently make some renovations to the existing house, or I wouldn't say recently, but within the last 3 years or so. Those were made with the idea that they did have in mind that we're going to have a detached garage they were going to seek at a later date. As has been mentioned, they didn't recognize some of those site constraints at the time. But when they designed that existing house, they were being thoughtful on the scale, the sizing. They didn't really expand the footprint. They didn't have a great desire to try to build a much bigger house than what had been there. They really sought to, be sensitive to the character of the surrounding area. That area doesn't have a lot of massive houses. That went hand in hand with their approach to the garage in the current design, which is they are seeking something that I think is architecturally compatible. They're seeking a high level of design with it. And I think they're locating in a way where the main road, Conch Road, the garage is being located such that it's really the massing and the scale of the garage isn't viewable to the main thoroughfare. They are recognizing that the massing and the scale could have an impact to the abutter directly to the other side. This is an applicant that was thoughtful about that. They reached out to all their neighbors. They shared the designs before they submitted with the neighbors. They had conversations about the design and the location and the height. And in fact, they gained letters of support from the majority of the neighbors, or the neighbors that were spoken with, particularly that neighbor that would be to just above the screen, that would be closest to this proposed structure. They have a letter of support in the record that they understand where this is going to be located and they don't have any concerns. Beyond that, I think it's worth pointing out, you'll see right here, this cane is going to be helpful for this moment in time. There's a tree that says base of tree right there. That's a massive tree. That is a tree that is, I don't know if this has a great image of it.
No, it
Oh,
doesn't.
sorry.
I
have
one
in my bag.
If you go back, this tree.
I was trying to get my pointer out again, sorry. There's a massive tree, and that tree is going to be retained. That tree must be, in upwards of, much greater, 50 feet, 60 feet, maybe even higher. They're retaining that tree, and actually that tree serves as an important mitigation. It happens to be right in the same location where the garage is going to be. The garage is kind of going to sit next to, but kind of a bit underneath the tree. That's an important point to make for a few reasons. One is, yes, it is known that they're seeking a two-story garage, but some of the things that typically come with that would be neighbors that would be have issues of massing, scale, shading, blocking views. Those issues really don't exist here because the existing tree, which is quite large, it is already creating sort of a canopy over that area of the site, particularly to the neighbor. And this tree is serving another function, which is buffering and screening of the proposed improvement to the direct surrounding neighborhood. And I'm going to hit a couple of the standards that I think the design and the context of the design is hitting for a special use permit, so really I'm just going to read the standards from the code. I do think that this is consistent with some of the special use permit standards that suggest the zoning board should consider access to air, light, views, and solar. Again, yes, it's understood this is a big structure, but this is not going to block views. This is not going to block sun. This is not going to block that open access, largely because it's being designed right next to that major landscape feature as a screen. Additionally, that this will not substantially or permanently injure the appropriate use of surrounding properties, in vain with my arguments that this is compatible with the surrounding area. It's being done in a thoughtful way to the context. It will not, there's a special use permit standard that it will not alter the general character of the surrounding area. Other special use permit standards, it will substantially serve the public convenience and welfare. I think this is going to provide a convenience to the applicant, while at the same time it's a design that's not creating an issue that will be a detriment to the surrounding area. That the use will not create or result in or create conditions inimical to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. I think that goes hand in hand with their design concepts. And I think I've hit a lot of those special use permit standards. There's a few that are very specific. You have those specific objective standards, talks about ingress, egress, off-street parking, trash, utilities. I think those have been met, and it's been reviewed by staff in terms of those basic parameters. There is a special use permit in terms of screening and buffering with reference to the type, dimensions, and character. I think they're trying to take advantage of that existing screen. That tree, they may need to trim in order to make the structure work, but that tree is serving as that substantial screening that the special use permit criteria is seeking. I don't want to take up much of your time. I do want to at least reference a few more standards. One is the code seeks a reference to consistency with the comp plan. I did review the comprehensive plan. I found a handful of policy issues that I think it's consistent with. A lot of them relate to the concept of protecting the character of the surrounding area, which I believe that their design is approaching. And I just note this one, just for the record, policy H2.2, support residential infill and expansion that is sensitive to its surroundings and does not negatively impact a neighborhood's character. So I do think, along with many others that I'm not going to read, I do think this application is consistent with the comprehensive plan. And the couple of last points to make, a dimensional variance point is that if the variance is not granted, it amounts to more than a mere inconvenience, meaning that the relief sought is minimal to a reasonable enjoyment of the permitted use. I mean, the applicant is seeking an accessory structure that's very much typical for housing in general. This area, it's not untypical to see detached garages. I think that it's minimal to the reasonable enjoyment of this very traditional ancillary structure because they are siting it in the location that is furthest away from their property lines that they can reasonably work with given the site constraints. They've talked about that there is a need to have that additional bonus room for the recreation purposes. That bonus, the heights have been as low as can be constructed. It's an 8-foot interior height on the second floor. So they're not seeking something that is as tall as it could be. And so I think the location of the structure, the design of the structure is really trying to seek that minimal amount of relief for the enjoyment of the permitted use. I think that wraps up all of my main points, but I'm certainly happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Made it easy.
I don't know if there are any other general questions of the board for the applicant, but we'd be happy to answer them at this time. The one thing I did want to point out that Doug briefly touched on, but I just wanted to expand on, is Robert LaFazia, who is at 31 Avalon Road, fully endorsed the variance, requesting that he would be the one who is most, I don't want to say most affected, but it's the directly abutting property to the side of Mr. Allegini's property that the proposed structure is going on. We also submitted 2 other abutter letters and a support letter from Mr. Larson here as well for the board's review.
Any other questions from the board? Yes.
The project summary that we get with this contains a number of conditions, but there are 2 conditions I just want to make sure you guys, and it sounds like from the testimony that you are okay with it, that there be a deed restriction, that this not be used, or that the property be restricted to 3 bedrooms. Is that the way
Correct.
you read it? Okay, and that would preclude the use of that second floor above the garage as use as an additional bedroom.
Correct.
And that the windows, this is kind of interesting, the windows on the second floor of the accessory structure must not meet egress standards.
Correct. Because that egress standard, if you had the correct egress windows, as Mr. Larson was saying, that could be made by state law.
Okay, so you're agreeable with those?
Correct.
Further questions? Okay. In the audience, anyone object to this project? Seeing none, does anyone approve or wants to speak in favor of? Seeing none, and if there's no further questions from the board, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close.
Second.
That's first and probably second motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0. Who's got this? You got this.
Me.
Oh, go for it.
I got this. Mr. Chairman and members of the board, with respect to project summary, Alleghenian. Tax assessors plat, R2 lot 144, address 107 Conch Road. I submit the following findings of fact for the record, and incorporate the findings of fact from the project summary, findings of fact A through H. The applicant is requesting relief from section 6.4 of the dimensional regulations, a 6.5 foot rear yard setback variance, a 5.1 foot height variance on the accessory structure, and because the accessory structure is exceeding the height requirements, there's a need for a special use permit for that as well. One note, the planning board did make a recommendation to have the requested relief approved, and they added a couple of conditions that we just spoke about, and we will go over those in a minute after I finish this. So we heard the applicant's lawyer, Attorney Ardenti, speak about what the relief requested. He also brought up 2 people, both of whom were qualified as experts. The first one is Mr. Paul Larson, and he was qualified as an expert as an architect. He explained various decisions that needed to be made with respect to designing the building, the accessory structure, and why it needed to be located, where it needed to be located, why the height needed to be the height, and very well that it needed to be the first floor of the garage was as low as it could be. The second floor was designed to accommodate the request of the applicant that there be enough room to use the structure as an exercise facility. So that was that. helped explain certain things. And one of the reasons why the garage was located where it needed to be, and why there is the need for the side yard setback, rear yard, what did you say? Rear yard setback, was that there was an existing well there that would be extremely inconvenient to address, to bring it in conformance, so that, it needed to be located, it could not really have been located anywhere else on the property. Mr. Doug McLean was also qualified as an expert in land use and planning. Mr. McLean made our job extremely easy in making the necessary findings for both the dimensional variances and the special use permit. He testified to almost all of the requirements that we needed, all the findings that we needed to make with respect to the dimensional variances and the special use permit. So with that being said, I submit my findings of fact. Make a motion to submit.
Did you talk about planning board recommendations?
I did, I kind of briefly, but they,
I got it.
yes.
I want you to.
We're gonna,
Okay.
we have to go to conditions and the recommendation.
All right. At the first.
Second.
At the first and a second to accept the findings of fact. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I make a motion to grant the relief requested based on the extremely comprehensive evidence that we heard tonight. The motion to grant the relief requested is subject to the conditions outlined in the project summary, conditions 1 through 7, and in addition, conditions that the planning board provided with their recommendation, conditions 1 and 2 on page 5 of 5. Do I need to say what they are, or can I just refer to them that way?
Very good.
Okay, so, and with that, I submit my motion to grant.
Second.
Hang on, not sure that we need to do this exactly in the motion. Do we need to change the condition 1 on for the planning board to reflect 3?
I'm assuming that we can officially change it, but I think when she changed it at first,
That was enough.
that was, I think, odd. Yeah?
Either way,
Is
just
that
for
enough?
purposes of clarity, your motion is for 3 bedrooms.
For 3 bedrooms, correct, in that condition,
Thank you.
correct.
All right. I have a motion to grant the relief requested, and it's probably seconded. Any discussion besides discussion we just had? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good luck, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now you can speak all you want.
Where's the house number on your house?
Yeah, we're gonna see it too.
Where's the house number?
So there is no house number on the house. We have a little sign out in the grass. Is it a requirement to have a house number?
I think so.
Isn't that on the stone?
It is.
I think so.
Okay.
I went around the house a couple times, I'm like, I
We'll
think
put
this
we'll
is
put a sign.
it.
We'll put a number on the house. When we bought the house, it didn't have a number.
It's just so the fire department
fire ward.
needs to get there and see it.
Gotcha, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, tomorrow.
It gave me a good chuckle when I was driving around, like.
Make sure you go to Jerry's Hardware, not Home Depot.
That's a condition. We just impose that as a condition.
Socks Ace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can go there too, but not.
We're live right now?
Ha, way
We're
ahead
still
of
live?
We got live.
We're still live, Mr. Chairman? Yes, great.
Oh, motion adjourned.
I have something I
He's good.
Oh, yeah.
3 years.
We're still
Ah,
live.
this is new.
Wait.
Hey, wait,
We're still live.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
Sorry, Tony.
It's all right.
Good to see you.
All right, we'll see.
You like to talk as much as I do. It's just. Yes, Ms. Igo.
Mr. Chairman, I had sent out an email yesterday inquiring about the possibility of moving our June meeting to the 24th.
Yes, you did.
Ray, our wonderful camera guy, is not available. Two of our 6 members are not available on the 24th. So it looks like we're gonna have to keep it on the 18th. With it being the day before a state holiday though, is there any ability for you guys to meet earlier than 6:30?
Well,
I could,
I could do like, well, I don't know if I could do like.
You always matter. You always matter. Good luck.
Or a block, like 5, well, market closes at 4, so like 5 o'clock onward I can do.
5:30, okay?
Yeah, I can do whatever time you guys want.
5, Ellen?
that's the day I can't.
Oh,
I
that's
have-
right, yeah,
I
you
have a
weren't here.
4 o'clock, yeah, I have a board meeting.
So the
So,
18th
18th
at
at
5:30.
5:30, 18th at 5:30. Everybody's good with that, correct? Yes.
Good.
I am.
Excellent.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
very welcome.
So you will matter, John.
Yeah.
Good show.
Sorry, sorry. That's, I think I emailed that in January though.
No, that's it for now.
You good?
Nothing else.
You good? Counselor?
Set.
Good?
Great.
All right.
I'm
Okay,
good.
we'll leave you out.
I talked enough.
All right. We'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. First and second.
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.